So, it looks like the mic is working. So, it's Monday night. That means it's time to play some Soulherder. Monday Night Soulherder. I'm Joe. Welcome to the stream. I missed my Merfolk stream last week. I guess it was Wednesday and I was just tired, and maybe there was I forget if there was a conflict or something, but it just I knew I couldn't do it for some reason, and maybe there's just going to be some weeks when that happens. Hey Ferdy, welcome to the stream. What do you think about the Zendikar spoilers? It's a good question. What I think is there's a card called Skyclave Apparition. I guess I could pull it up right now. Just have so many tabs open on on this thing. Let's see. So yeah, let's talk about this. I guess it's a good way to start the stream. It's actually an excellent way to start the stream, and I should have anticipated this and wanted to discuss it. So I'm not sure if you've seen this yet, but an extremely promising card for us. So go ahead and read the text if you haven't read it. I'll read it as well. So, when Skyclave Apparition enters the battlefield, exile up to one target non-land, non-token, permanent you don't control with converted mana cost 4 or less. When Skyclave Apparition leaves the battlefield, the exiled card's owner creates an XX blue illusion creature token, where X is the converted mana cost of the exiled card. So, what's going on with this card? A lot of text, very important to sort of look at all the aspects and sort of make sure that we've got our head on straight as far as what this card can do, what it can't do, how good it is, how bad it is, whatever. So when it enters, it's going to exile something. Now, what can that thing be? Well, it can basically be anything in Modern. You can't exile people's lands. That's fine. We weren't really expecting to exile their lands. And it can't be a token, right? So imagine like you exile something with Skyclave Apparition, an opponent kills it, they get back a 3/3 token. Now we can't play another Apparition and exile the token, so it doesn't combo with itself. Like you can't get rid of the tokens that it creates. So that's just really the only important thing to sort of know about the card is that it can't. Well, no, not the only thing. I want to be thorough with this card because I've already sort of made some mistakes mentally, just thinking it can do some things that it can't. So it can't get rid of tokens, and you can't get rid of anything more than 4 mana. So if an opponent plays a big Teferi, if an opponent plays a Karn or a Primeval Titan, or a Karn Liberated, the big Karn, Ugin, anything bigger than 4 mana, Glorybringer, Skyclave is not going to be able to deal with it, right? But that's like those permanents that I just named probably make up like less than 10% of the card pool of Modern. So Skyclave is radically flexible, just extremely, extremely flexible. Ferdy, to answer your question, Blink in response to ETB. doesn't give them the token. So what you need to do for this blink idea is there needs to be 2 targets on the battlefield. Oh, another thing is that it can only target permanents that you don't control. So you can't get tricky and like exile a worship if you need a 4/4 to win the game or something like that. Like, you can't target your own stuff. So you can't target lands, you can't target tokens, and you can't target your own stuff. It's sort of like Deputy of Detention. Deputy of Detention, if you have like a bunch of summoning sick Birds of Paradise or something, and you want to like play a Deputy to exile all of your birds to make Soulherder really big, can't do that with Deputy because it only targets the opponent's stuff. Just keep that in mind for Skyclave as well. It doesn't do it. So for Skyclave to work with the blink when it enters a battlefield, you need to have 2 targets. So imagine the opponent has 2 Tarmogoyfs, right? You play the Skyclave, you target the first Tarmogoyf. With that ETB on the stack, you can ephemerate it. It'll blink, it'll get two triggers. It'll get the exile trigger from when it left the battlefield. The leaves the battlefield trigger is what I mean to say. And you'll get a new ETB trigger. Now, those 2 triggers, it doesn't matter how you stack them. What matters is that with the new ETB, you target the other Tarmogoyf, something else, right? So those two new triggers will resolve. Basically, the new ETB is going to exile the new Tarmogoyf underneath the Skyclave. Then the old leaves the battlefield trigger will resolve, and it won't affect anything because Skyclave, the thing that's attached to the first ETB hasn't been exiled yet. So this will resolve without any effect. Then the first thing on the stack is the first ETB. That's going to resolve, exile the first Tarmogoyf, never to be seen again because it was unlinked to this second trigger. So it's very similar to old cards like Fiend Hunter in that respect. Also, I think Tide Hollow Sculler, these kinds of this old templating where it's like ETB separate from LTB leaves the battlefield. You can always respond to the first ETB, and then you get this interesting effect where the leaves the battlefield trigger becomes detached from the first ETB trigger because that first trigger has never even affected anything yet. So when this leaves the battlefield trigger goes to resolve, it won't give the opponent anything because it didn't exile anything. Does that make sense? You guys with me? Did you sort of get it already and I just sort of mansplained the whole thing for you? Now, what you can't do is if they have 1 Tarmogoyf, you can't play it, target the first Tarmogoyf, blink it, get new triggers. It doesn't work with only 1 target because the new triggers are going to exile the Tarmogoyf, and then all the other stuff will resolve, but the Tarmogoyf is still now underneath the Skyclave apparition from the new triggers. So you just need to have 2 targets. That's the important thing. Umara Wizard. I can't say that I'm psyched for anything, so let me check that out. Oh my god, it's a 5-drop. It's a 4/3, a 4/3 5-drop. I see. So you're playing it in a land slot. So I think so you're talking about the 1-drop. Actually, the card that I think is far and away the best for us is let me just go to Mythic whatever. Where is it? You know what I'm talking about, I'm sure. It's the actual good card. That's just unfortunately too narrow. This guy, a Thieving Sky Diver, right? So it's on par, on curve. It's the same stats as Silvergill Adept, but you can pay Kicker at a minimum of 1, take away artifacts, gain control of artifacts. And if it's an equipment, it's pretty niche. You can just immediately attach it to this guy. So like a sword, you cast this for 4 and take a sword and just immediately strap it on. Seems pretty good, but really we're looking to do stuff with this card like steal an amulet. Just a second, guys. Yeah, it's okay. My wife will unlock the door. She just got home. Yeah, it would be an affinity hate card if. Okay, affinity doesn't really exist anymore, but you can play it and like steal a walking ballista, which just makes the opponent bottom out the walking ballista, basically use all the counters right away, probably killing this creature. So a bad removal spell for a walking ballista, a way to take an amulet away from an amulet titan player. It's just the format. It doesn't work with this card right now, but if ever for whatever reason affinity, like if little Karn goes away. Little Karn, by the way, Karn the Great Creator is an excellent target for Skyclave Apparition. It's a 4-drop, so it does get hit by the ability. But anyhow, if Karn goes away, Karn is what's keeping affinity down, basically, because it shuts down all artifacts just kind of randomly, like just by being on the battlefield. So there's not really an affinity. There's not a ton of artifact stuff going on, and even if like it's a crazy artifact combo deck. Odds are that Thieving Skydiver taking like one piece away, like what piece are you going to take, like a Mox or something like that? It's just I don't know, whatever. But as far as power level goes, this is probably the best card that we've gotten from the spoilers. No, Ferdy, that's a common misconception with this card. It says if it was kicked, gain control of target artifact with converted mana cost of X or less. The problem is you can't pay 0. You have to pay at least 1 to get the ability. But if you pay 1, you can take anything 1 or less. If you pay 2, you can take anything 2 or less, right? So, anyhow, that's the spoilers. I am particularly excited about the one that I mentioned. Excuse me. Skyclave Apparition. I think that this card is sensational. One of the best Soulherder pilots, CFT SOC3. He's extremely high on this card. I don't think he's been testing it yet, but he was saying something like he thinks that 3 is the correct number to run in these. Now, I'm on 60 cards. Even with 80 cards, we're very much a toolbox kind of deck. This is not, in my view, kind of like a super core card. Like even though it is a core spirit, It's not like an Eternal Witness type card where it just like has core synergies. So for me, I think this is just like a bomb 1-drop that we can use Neoform or Court of Calling to go grab. It's possible that I think this card just replaces Night of Autumn in my main deck. What's up, DV? Thanks for joining me this evening. Just going over this exciting new card. I was just starting to say, I think it replaces Night of Autumn for me because Night of Autumn wants to blow up artifacts, but Skyclave just blows up everything. It blows up Planeswalkers, enchantments, like against Ad Nauseam. It can blow up Phyrexian Unlife. It hits. I said Planeswalkers, so I mean one of the most obnoxious cards against us is Teferi, Little Teferi. So Skyclave, you play it just like boom. Imagine you're on the play and you play like a Noble Hierarch, and then turn 2 you play a land, play Skyclave, and just take away the opponent's Ether Vial. Like that, this stuff is just bonkers. Like if an opponent plays a Chalice on 0 and you hit it with Skyclave, Chalice on 1, the CMC when it's on the battlefield is 0, so Skyclave can get rid of Chalice and with no downside. But just being able to get rid of Jace or Teferi or Karn or Blood Moon, all this stuff is pretty bomb. So extremely flexible card, and flexible in ways that like really, really, really matter for our deck in this format. If you get rid of a Death Shadow or Soulscar Mage or any kind of burn creature that costs 1, they're just going to get back a 1/1 if they deal with this. So a lot of times it's not even going to be worth it for burn to like throw a lightning bolt at this thing, because like they're just going to get back a 1/1 and lose 3 points of damage that the bolt could have done to the face, right? Shadow, you deal with like their 5/5, 6/6, 7/7, whatever creature, and they get back a 1/1 at most, right? So it just trades like so well, the ability. And obviously it's kind of nutty with Ephemerate. So anyhow, extremely excited about this card. Hangerback Walker is a 0, but when Hangerback Walker dies, exactly, it gets exiled, so pretty sick. I was just mentioning though, DV, that Affinity doesn't really exist, so I'm not that excited about it doing like nasty things against Affinity. But with that sort of explanation out of the way, I'm gonna go ahead to well, first of all, let me close Chrome because it makes things run slowly. I am back on Bant. You guys might be... I mean, it's sort of a deck, but it's like 30th in the format or something. It gets crushed by Karn, the great creator, so it's just extremely marginalized right now. I'm back on Bant. I'm off Black for a little while, largely because I want to start testing this Skyclave Apparition because I think it's going to be bonkers. Now, what Skyclave does to the deck is it increases somewhat dramatically our desire for white mana on the battlefield. So that's part of the reason for shifting back to Bant, is just to sort of reduce the mana constraints. When I was running Black, you need to run specifically Overgrown Tomb because all of my fetches get green, right? If I ran something like a Watery Grave, or even like a Godless Shrine, for example, like white-black land, I can only get it with half of my fetches, and so that's sort of a non-starter. Like if I'm going to splash a 4th color, I need to be able to get that color with all of my fetches, and so Overgrown Tomb was the choice when I was running Black. But when you start to have double white cards in the deck, particularly double white cards that you want to get down early and that you want, ideally, to be able to ephemerate when it comes down, you're talking about triple white on an early turn in the game. And so so you really do want a lot of white mana. And to that end, I actually trimmed the breeding pool from my mana base. It's the dual land that I get the least often. The only time I ever get breeding pool is when I have like an Eternal Witness in hand and I know I need to hardcast a Force, or I know that I have a Venture coming up for double blue. So if I have like if I have like, I don't even know, like green and blue on the battlefield and then I have a fetch, like I might go get a breeding pool. but like 95% of the time I'm getting a duel that has white, and so I just finally got rid of the breeding pool, and I added back in a Prairie Stream, so it's a little bit experimental right now. I've got 2 of these tap lands. I don't have a lot of turn 1 plays in the deck, and so far I haven't felt like I've been getting bitten by these, and if anything, they can be kind of a godsend in an extremely aggressive format to have an untapped dual land that doesn't deal damage to you. Other things to talk about, I'm trying out Neoform. Neoform, potentially quite strong with the addition of Skyclave Apparition, and you can see I'm sort of doing a placeholder thing with Fiend Hunter. So Skyclave, obviously like many levels above Fiend Hunter, because I mean, it exiles the thing permanently. They're never getting back what we exile. And then beyond that, it can hit Planeswalkers and stuff like that. So Fiend Hunter is just like... I'm actually playing a league with Fiend Hunter right now, and sometimes it's good, but then other times the opponent has like a Planeswalker and I can't deal with it with Fiend Hunter, and it's like, arg. But, I mean, if we get down like a Coiling Oracle or an Ice Fang, and then if the opponent plays something we have to deal with, Neoforming one of the snakes, getting the Skyclave just seems like a nice combo to me. Otherwise, you've got a nice combo of, if you've got 2 snakes out, you can cast Neoform, go get an Eternal Witness. Eternal Witness gets back Neoform. Use Neoform to hit the other snake, turn that snake into a Soulherder. Now, all of a sudden, with 1 Neoform and a couple of snakes, you've got your core combo assembled with Eternal Witness and Deputy of Detention on the... not Deputy, Soulherder on the board. So... so pretty strong. I've been finding Neoform. I've been enjoying it quite a lot. And honestly, with the power of the Skyclave Apparition, I might want to up my my 2-drop count. Like maybe I want to get like up to 10 2-drops. Maybe even run 2 Neoforms, just to increase the possibility of converting a snake into super flexible removal. So we'll sort of have to see how that feels. 2 Teferis, it might be a little bit overboard, but I've been enjoying the card a lot. Things are kind of in flux right now. Obviously, I'm trying to sort of feel out this new card, feel out some of the synergies with things like Neoform. I'm still very high on cards like Path to Exile and Force of Negation. The sideboard has changed a little bit. I've got Ashiok in now, and I've just been losing to Titan decks a lot, and Ashiok is really good against them, particularly if you can get it down on turn 2 off of a Noble Hierarch, but it's also quite good against any deck with fetches. You know, it's great against like all the mid-range decks, like Jund. Also great against Death Shadow. Any deck with fetches, it's going to be great. But apart from that, everything pretty similar to how it has been recently. So as far as Muldrifter goes, it's a great Bant card. It draws ridiculous numbers of cards. If the opponent leaves it unanswered for just like one turn, typically I'm looking to play it and ephemerate it. That's the combo, which draws 4 cards right away. And yeah, that's I guess Thragtusk needs a little bit of explanation. There are different options at the sort of finisher slot in Bant. But given the state of the format with all of these prowess decks around, Thragtusk not only gains huge chunks of life, but every time you blink it, you get a 3/3. So pretty amazing synergy with Ephemerate. You know, you're talking about gaining 10 life and having 2 bodies on the battlefield. Even if you don't get to blink it and you just play it, gain the life, and then trade with a prowess creature, it replaces itself with a 3/3. So it's just massive value, I feel like, right now in the format. And yeah, I'm not completely sold on Venser. I wasn't really loving him in my blacklist. So I'm just bringing him back, as I know is just a super flexible way to potentially win games in Bant. But I could see going a different direction, something that I'm a little bit more comfortable with, sacrificing to get like a Thragtusk with Neoform. For example, like Glen Elendra, Archmage, could be good, because when you sack Glen Elendra, why is that not showing up? I must have that card in my collection. Let me change the quantity real quick, see if it pops up. There we go. Apparently I don't have it in my collection, so I don't... Come on. Let's go, deck. All right. So this creature has Persist. So if you sack it with Neoform to get a Muldrifter or Thragtusk, it itself will come back to the battlefield. So I'm actually kind of interested in that possibility. Because we do kind of want to look for situations that synergize with Neoform if we're playing it. You kind of have to think about what 3-drops you would want to sacrifice. So... for example, like if we've got an Eternal Witness against like Dredge and we really want a Stonehorn, you can Neoform into Stonehorn, try to assemble some kind of combo where you can slow the opponent's attacks down. So this is the Bant idea that I've been working with. I'm currently 1-1 in a league with it. It's underpowered because I've got the Fiend Hunter instead of Skyclave. So I haven't been winning that much. Honestly, I'm just trying to get used to the mechanics of blinking Skyclave or Fiend Hunter, like with the ability on the stack. Oh, you know what? Hang on a sec. I want to show you guys a cool spot that I came across in one of my games recently. So I haven't been winning a lot. My rating has been suffering, but I have to try to remember what this opponent's name was. So I played... This would have been the last round of one of my leagues. I think this is what I'm looking for. All right, I do think this is what I was looking for here. Let's just sort of... So a very slow start. This was against Primeval Titan, Amulet Titan. So I kept kind of a sketchy hand. Typically, I've found that mulliganing to find Ashiok is like the best plan. Even if you go down to 4, I won a game against Titan recently where I mulliganed to 4 with Ashiok and won the game pretty easily. But it has a force to be able to counter like an amulet or a summoner's pact. It has a worship, which can go a long way against this deck. Actually, hold on. This is not the game I'm looking for. It is the match that I'm looking for. Hey, Isotope. I'm great, thank you. I was just talking this evening about the fact that I'm running Bant, trying out the new card, Skyclave Apparition. I'm using Fiend Hunter in place of the Skyclave, but you can see I've got Land, Hierarch, Fiend Hunter, and at this point I didn't know what I was playing against until I saw the Valakut. So obviously, turn 1, I'm going to get the Hierarch down, and I guess, we'll sort of see what the opponent is working with. So they got the Amulet. Turn 2, going to be able to make the mana play Explore, get a Forest down, play the Scout. So they've got massive amounts of mana coming next turn because we saw they have a Keru land that makes 2. So they make 2 mana, they bounce it, they play it again with Tribe Scout, they get 2 more mana. They could easily play a Titan next turn. With access to 3 mana, the best play for me here was just to get down the Icefang Coatl, and then I guess I must have played a tapped land here. But we're gonna see some cool stuff here. So the opponent gets down a second Amulet, which is just nutty because now they get 2 triggers for each of these, so they can actually make like 10 mana this turn or more. So let's count the mana here. So that's 2, 4, bounce it, tap this, play that. So what they're going to make 2 more, so that's 6, and then 8. All right, Summoner's Pact with 8 mana. Okay, so here's a Titan. They've got 2 mana left. Okay, so they get another Keru land with the Tolaria West. Both of them are going to get double triggers. So they're going to make 2 more mana, that's 6, and then 2 more is 8, I think, and then 2 more should be 10 if I'm counting correctly. Maybe it's just 8. Oh, it's just 8 so far. So transmuting, 6 mana left, another Summoner's Pact, another Titan. This is all on turn 3, by the way. All right, even more mana. Let's see if the opponent has things to do with this. Fortunately for us, they don't have... I don't know why they didn't just go get red mana. Maybe they only have 1 Valakut, but they could have gotten haste right now. But on my turn, I can play Fiend Hunter. Let me pause this right now if I can catch it. Play Fiend Hunter. Now, this is an example of what I was talking about a second ago. You target the first thing you want to exile, and with that on the stack... Now, you have to pretend that this is Skyclave Apparition. Actually, you know what? This is actually a terrible example of Skyclave Apparition. So it's good for me to look at this again because I thought this was pretty sick. Now, Skyclave would not be able to deal with Primeval Titan, so I would totally be mulliganing to I would actually sideboard out Skyclave, or maybe not because it still hits Amulet, but you can see the mechanic at least. When you target something, you can ephemerate, and then when you get new triggers, you want to target something else, right? So here, I just targeted the other Titan, right? So this one is going to go underneath the Fiend Hunter. This one's going to get permanently exiled. And this is kind of what we're looking to do with the new card, Skyclave, like get crazy value out of Ephemerate. Again, Skyclave not able to hit Primeval Titan, but he could have hit both Amulets. Imagine that they just kept a hand with Amulets, but with no Titans yet. I could have just exiled both Amulets, or an Amulet and a Tribe Scout. It's just great flexible removal that's extremely powerful with Ephemerate. So I actually went on to win this game. The opponent just had to pay for 2 packs, so that was 8 mana. I don't know that you guys need to see the rest of this game, but I drew really well. I'm going to Ephemerate a Muldrifter, draw 4 cards. Pretty nutty. Get in with Exalted. Now that I'm back on Bant, I have Noble Hierarch back in the deck, so it pushes a little bit more damage. I was able to just force a Summoner's Pact. Bunch of damage on the battlefield, Ephemerate, Muldrifter, play this, get a path. Opponent didn't like that, and they scooped. So I guess that, yeah, the opponent probably would have won that game if I had Skyclave instead of Fiend Hunter, but it's not every deck in the format that's playing Titan. Skyclave is really not about answering Titan. It's about answering like most of the format, particularly Prowess creatures, Death Shadows, Teferi, Jace, Karn, basically anything 4 mana and less. So that was just a cool example that I came across with Fiend Hunter. I'm going to go ahead and jump into a match. Currently 1-1. Try to catch my breath. That was a lot of talking. How are you guys doing this evening? Have you had a good week? Have you been playing any Magic? Actually, my rock climbing gym just opened back up on kind of like a reservation basis. So you just have to like schedule when you're going to go. And so I went yesterday for the first time in 6 months, and it was just like I was so thrilled. I don't know if any of you guys are climbers, but it becomes it tends to be, it's kind of an addictive hobby. And so when I couldn't do it for the last 6 months, I was definitely kind of in withdrawal. So this is an interesting hand. It doesn't have any blue mana, so I can't even cast Teferi unless I draw land. If it is exactly prowess, I don't hate it. Fiend Hunter is hard to remove unless they have exactly Lightning Bolt. But it's a little top heavy. It doesn't have blue, and we don't know what we're playing against. So I think this is a mulligan for me. It's kind of an annoying mulligan, but we really, really want 2-drops in the hand. Path to Exile helps a little bit when we don't have 2-drops, because it slows down the opponent if they're on creatures. So yeah, I think this is probably a mulligan for me. So I'm gonna mulligan. I kind of hate the mulligan, but this is better. Opponent's starting with 7. I'm gonna keep this, and I'm going to bottom the 4-drop. I'm going to say done, and unfortunately, I don't actually have my breeding pool here. That's definitely what I would want to get, but Noble Hierarch's probably going to get my back. I'm going to go ahead and get a basic here, just because then any future fetches let me get my my Tangle lands. And if Noble Hierarch lives, I can just cast either of my my 3-drops. I'll probably go with Witness to get back the land. Make sure I can actually establish my mana. If the opponent has removal, we still got Path up. Fair enough. So take whichever one they want. We're going to be able to start establishing value. And honestly, I don't hate seeing turn 1, Swamp Inquisition, because we tend to do well against those matchups. I imagine the opponent should take the Eternal Witness here, and they do. Not too much to think about, really. So snakes are awesome here. Basically anything that starts to generate value is going to be sick. Actually, Teferi is quite nice. But given the fact that the opponent played black, I guess it's a question of what I prefer to get down here. And, I think front-footing it is probably correct. So get Soulherder down. Opponent doesn't know about the Teferi. Maybe they feel like they have some time. They don't have to worry about the path yet. Start growing the Soulherder. And, they could have more hand disruption, which would be kind of rough because we would love to get Teferi down. It's definitely a very valuable card. But if they, for example, just play like a Tarmogoyf, that's bonkers for us. So let's see, Ferdy, what's up with you? 2 more weeks of stage 4, 6 weeks before back to usual. I know, it's rough. Opponent, maybe it's like 8 rack. Oh, it is. It's 8 rack. So don't Inquisition me, bro. All right, not too bad. But remember, Skyclave Apparition would easily deal with these things. It's just the flexibility of Skyclave is just like busted. Oh my god, these are so bad in this matchup, the 2 paths. So I am just going to play the Teferi. I'm going to bounce the rack, draw, because I would love to draw a card here. Just sort of slow the opponent's mana down a little bit. Force would be okay if I had a blue card in hand, but I don't. Hierarch, very nice. I get to attack for 3 instead of 2. I love it. Okay, Soulherder continuing to grow. I've got 3 cards in hand, so not going to get hit by the rack if that's all that they're working with. I've got black mana now, which is kind of nice. Okay, here's the rack again. And like a blue card would be nice. Okay, Wrench Mind, blah. All right, we get rid of these 2 stupid paths. I'm going to take some damage from these things. But we draw so many cards. This is a favorable matchup. I just need like 1 snake here, and we're off to the races. Even like an Eternal Witness would be sick. Just like get these cards in my hand, and we'll be good. Oh my god. All right. Well, at least we can counter something. So it's probably going to be like Liliana coming soon. So it's nice to have an answer to something scary, right? Two more turns, we get to draw another card with Teferi. Just tap out, opponent. You know you want to. Yep. I'm going to take 6 more damage because of this, but we just need to keep their stuff off the board. I could just die, but as things stand, it looks like a 3-turn clock, unless I crack a fetch, in which case it turns into a 2-turn clock. Although, even having 1 card in hand, the rack... So, honestly, like, I have so many cards that draw cards. So if I hit a snake, it's just, you know, it's almost impossible for the opponent to catch up. Ugh, all right, I got to keep that in hand. Things getting a little bit rough. Get to swing for 5. I mean, the fact that I didn't hit any snakes, any Eternal Witnesses, even just a creature to just push a little bit more damage. We're doing 5 here, and then, unfortunately... Well, you know what? Yeah, it's only 6 next turn, I think, right? So, pretty rough. Pretty rough. Unless I draw a Hierarch, then it becomes lethal. And I do get a redraw with Teferi. Okay, this guy again. So hang on a sec. At the beginning of if they have 1, oh, he's also a rack. Oh my god. All right, so whatever. 8 rack is gonna steal a game off of me. Very frustrating. Because he gets to make me discard this, which is terrible. Like I was hoping for something like Inquisition, which couldn't hit the island, and now I'm just toast. I'm taking what 8 damage, I think. Or more now. I'm taking 11 damage. Pretty rough, but I can draw a card off the top and see what it would have been. Very, very unfortunate the way that this just played out. All right, let's draw a card. See if we would have hit, you know, anything that would have potentially won us the game here. Okay, let's go, Magic. Okay, draw a card. Cord, unfortunately, doesn't get us there here. If I had 1 more land... like that island, I could have played it and then corded for another Hierarch with 3 lands and Hierarch and then attacked for 7. So that would have done it. But now we get to take out stupid things like Path to Exiles, which I drew 2 of on top of mulliganing that game. So we get rid of all the Path to Exiles. Worship is not good. Ceremonious is fine in the matchup. Veil is amazing in the matchup, particularly if we can recur it with Eternal Witness. Needle names Mutavault. It also names whatever that guy's name was, Davriel or something. Yeah, Davriel Rogue. So Pithing Needle is definitely worth it. Also names Liliana. Not really sure how useful Ashiok is. I don't think they care too much about their graveyard apart from Raven's Crime. And... you know, we've got a lot of stuff to worry about in the matchup. Well, let's think about what we can take out. Fiend Hunter, it should be Skyclave, and it's definitely dope in the matchup. But we can take it out since it only hits creatures here. Teferi, not the best, but it does draw cards, so I think it can stay. Thrag Tusk, just a beater. Hard to cast if they deal with our land, so maybe actually I want to take Thrag Tusk out. The question is, what do I want to bring in? So maybe it comes back in. It is easy to cast with just 1 green. I don't want to cut anything low on the curve. Definitely not trimming any lands, because they do hit our lands with, like, Smallpox. I love the Forces. Love the Witnesses. Deputy is sort of necessary. So I guess we have to keep Thrag Tusk, and then... we have to think about what the sort of 60th card is. And I guess it's 1 Ashiok. Oh, no, Purge. Purge. I forgot about Purge. I'm going to bring in all the Purges. So we're going to go ahead and cut the Thrag Tusk. And Muldrifter, obviously excellent. Venser just bounces stuff, which seems like it could be pretty good. Bouncing lands if they get stuck on lands. particularly with ramp. I think I can just trim 1 to Fairy. I think Soulherder's pretty busted, so in the matchup, they don't have too much removal. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully we don't have to mulligan against 8-rack. Again, this is a super favorable matchup. I mulliganed to a hand that didn't have a ton of card advantage. They took away the Eternal Witness, and yeah, this is pretty nutty. I can't really play Pithing Needle turn 1. I mean, we're looking to name either Davriel or Mutavault, and I'd kind of prefer to wait to see one, or Liliana, and I'd kind of prefer to wait to see what's going on. Although I do have 2 of them, right? So I still kind of want to chill on it. Now, I know they're going to have Inquisition, which is unfortunate because it takes away the Ice Fang, but we can fight for it with the Eternal Witness. Okay, so that's a rack, which means we're going to get to cast the Coatl. Excellent. Now, hopefully this game, I don't really care about Death Touch here. I'm much more concerned with hitting my colors. So I'm going to go ahead and get Prairie Stream. You can see lots of situations where I get to bring that in without any downside. Okay, that 3rd land was clutch, particularly, again, because they can blow up my stuff. So I'm going to pass, and then if they go for some big spell, I'll Flashing Coatl, maybe draw a Force, and we can pitch Deputy. But we'll see what they're working with here. Deputy could be good if they just dump like 3 racks. So trying to... Oh, I have an artifact. That's dope. I can just pitch one of these. That's amazing. So I'm going to get a forest here. That's all I need. And this is sort of how the matchup should go. Card advantage all day. Get a couple creatures on the battlefield. We're going to discard an artifact, namely the Pithing Needle. And we'll see what we draw. Might determine what we play here. Okay, that's a beautiful card. So I might just play out the Pithing Needle and name Liliana of the Veil. That's the thing that I'm a little sort of most afraid of, and then hold up Ephemerate. Alternatively, I can just play Eternal Witness, get more bodies on the battlefield. That actually seems pretty good to me too. I think I'll probably do that. I do have, if they go just Wrench Mind again, if they just tap out for Liliana, I'm going to have 2 creatures on the battlefield, so that'll put her at 1, and I can just attack her and kill her. So I'm going to get another forest here. Going to play Eternal Witness, continue the crazy card advantage. Pithing Needle, definitely sort of the most relevant thing here. I've got a 4th land, and I've got Ephemerate, so things looking pretty good. I would love to draw a Force so we can potentially hedge against like board wipe type stuff. Okay, so now Deputy looking good. I'll be able to hold up white to protect it. 2 basics means I can go ahead and get another Prairie. I don't have another Prairie Stream, but I do have... Well, double blue is now sort of relevant, so I might just get a Hallowed Fountain. Actually, I can't play it and hold up Ephemerate because of the double basic forest, which is a little bit annoying. I'm going to go ahead to attacks here. And I might just hold up Venser, I think. I'm not in any danger of starting to take damage from what they're working with over there. And if they tap out for like a 3-drop, then I can bounce it with Venser and then start bouncing their lands. So it seems like a fine plan to me. All right, tappy tappy, love it. Love it. 4-drop for this thing, which does some stuff. Yeah. All right, well, this is awesome. validating my choice of plays. Okay, so Pithing Needle gets to name that thing anyway if we wanted to. Don't know how relevant that's going to be. Opponent in the tank about how to respond to my fetch. Okay, so Hallowed Fountain, yes, I would love to pay 2 life. It's like extremely excited to pay 2 life. So now we've got a 3-turn clock on the battlefield. Opponent just got time walked. We can play a Pithing Needle naming Liliana Waker of the Dead. Maybe this is a budget 8-rack list. Not really sure like what the optimal 8-rack list is these days. There's that force. So I am probably just going to play Needle, name that, and then I'm just going to hold up Ephemerate and Hardcast Force, I think. So that was Liliana Waker, right? Like, we can just be conservative. I mean, they might have other Lilianas in hand, but we've got the Ephemerate up. We've got Hardcast Force up. We've got 4 cards in hand. And deck that draws all the cards. Yeah, I think I'll just let that resolve. Artifact. Totally okay. Opponent just passing the turn. So I think it seems like they're F6'd. So I'm just going to go ahead and Ephemerate. All right, and we can just bounce one of their land. I've only got 2 cards in hand, but their stuff will. I can take some damage from the racks. Doesn't matter. I'm going to take 2 damage. That's sort of fine. And bouncing land is kind of whatever here. Awesome. All right, place your bets. Oh, wait, okay. Does the opponent scoop in response to this Ephemerate? I think they might. It's pretty backbreaking. 4 cards. Including Veil is pretty nice. And a land that will let me cast Veil. Although they have not scooped yet, so kudos to the opponent. Sticking in it. Now they're scooping now, so that's how it's supposed to go. So I'm gonna take a break for a sec. I'll be right back. Okay, so we just want to find hands with like a couple of lands, a whole bunch of snakes, anything that generates any kind of card advantage. Force is like negative card advantage, but keeping like a planeswalker off the table is pretty important. Obviously, having both Pithing Needles in that game was pretty dope because they had 2 Wrench Mines, and we were able to just pitch the Pithing Needle, which really sort of makes that spell not that great. Obviously, like, I'm trying to test Skyclave Apparition, this new card, and so this is a great matchup for it because they play all these one-drop permanents, and so Skyclave comes down, hits their one-drop. If we ephemerate, it gives them a 1/1, right, which can't even do anything. So I think that setup felt fine. Again, it's a matchup that can depend a lot on play draw. So if I'm on the play in game one and win game one, it can have a huge effect. Now this is sketchy. Wow, hyper sketchy. Opponent's mulliganing to 6. If we draw basically any land other than basic plains or basic forest, this hand is just nuts. The Muldrifter Chord is a little bit whatever. Like, it's very, very expensive here. And since it's a good matchup, I feel like I don't have to keep a sketchy hand. But at the same time, I get 2 looks on the top of the deck to hit any land, and then I'm just off to the races. I'm gonna mulligan. I'm gonna play like I know I should. Oh, it's so hard to mulligan this though. All right, I guess. I guess. Not amazing. Double ephemerate. I'll just put one of the ephemerates on the bottom. I mean, I really want to find those snakes again. They're going to take the Hierarch here, which is rough. They could... Oh, I get to choose. So Ephemerate, obviously the least important card in my hand. Now, if they follow it up with, like, Smallpox and I have to... Oh, that was a great draw. Really great draw. Again, if they follow up with Smallpox here, it's so rough. It's pretty backbreaking. Sack a land, sack a creature, discard a card. Really nasty. But it's what their deck does, and, you know, they're on a mulligan. I do have a Pithing Needle if they have a Wrench Mind, so doing our best. Doing our best. All right, that's not the end of the world. Okay, cool. All right, very, very nice. Okay, so we get to just hold up. I'm going to play the basic here, and then I get to go get an untapped Tangle Land. I really, really, really want to draw snakes. Snakes are the difference, you know, between winning and losing, basically, in this matchup. Oh, Jesus. What? All right, so we're both starting from 0 here. I think I just have to keep the land in hand, honestly. Build up lands, draw snakes, play snakes, ephemerate snakes. Well, that was pretty dirty, but whatever. Empty-handed, I feel good in this matchup, like top decking. All right, well, you know, whatever. Any snake, any Eternal Witness. Opponent does get to cast Raven's Crime when they draw land, so maybe they drew a 4-drop, which is like kind of the only explanation for like not just casting Raven's Crime here. Oh, that's I don't know about that, but whatever. Guess it's fine. What are you doing, opponent? You have no cards in hand. Okay. Oh, huh. Interesting. So they get to start drawing cards, which is obviously bad for us, but we have a lot of things in the deck that draw cards as well. So I'm going to go get like a Hallowed Fountain here. Hey, that's decent. That draws a card. All right, opponent's starting to pull ahead. I don't like it. Don't like it one bit. All right. At this point, I still think I want to get lands on the battlefield. If they like cast Raven's Crime and we discard Force, it's sort of whatever. We've still got all 3 Eternal Witnesses in the deck. Inquisition. You got it, opponent. And there's a rack. All right, so that's a clock. I will crack this, and I will go get green. So this would be a good place for a breeding pool, but I'm just gonna get a Temple Garden, draw a snake, draw an Eternal Witness. All right, snake, snaky snake. Draw an Ephemerate. Okay, well, you know, it had to get through that land on top of the deck somehow, right? Opponent hopefully drew a land. They didn't draw a land. They drew probably the best card in their deck. Do like drawing snakes. That's going to kill Liliana unless they draw an answer to it. Well, it's going to keep her... Oh my god, that was a good card, but now I have to discard it. Next turn I can bounce the rack and draw a card. Man, I'm getting a little bit bitten on my blue mana situation here. I might need to figure out how to get Breeding Pool back in the mix. Like, it's kind of ridiculous that I have a 3-drop that I can't cast right now, and that I'm going to have to discard it. That's just ridiculous. Oh, it's so powerful. Powerful is not the word. So, unfortunate. Now they have 2 racks. The clock has increased, and I think the game is, like, slipping away here. Man. Very, very unfortunate. And it's largely due to the fact that my lands... Look at this. I have no blue mana. And honestly, like, unless I just start drawing tons and tons of cards, I guess I'll draw 1 off of Teferi. Liliana's going to make me discard. Davriel's going to make me discard. I mean, blue is okay. I can bounce one of their racks on my upkeep. I'm sorry, not on my upkeep, on their end step. Oh, well, they're going to make me discard something, which is... Ugh, this is all so bad, guys. Just getting wrecked by a deck that we should be steamrolling. And at this point, I don't think there's any way out of this, so... I guess, hold on a second. No. There is... I can bounce this back to my hand, but... Just going to play it out here. They can't recast Davriel. So now... Oh, I'm still dead. I was thinking, like, both bouncing this and bouncing the Davriel, but... So now... Yeah, I'm just dead. I'm gonna scoop. 3 damage on my upkeep before I draw anything. I think maybe I could have bounced the snake, and then upkeep, cast the snake, draw Ephemerate, cast it on Venser, bounce one of their it still doesn't work. Ugh. That's painful, guys. But it means I should figure out a way to get that breeding pool back in without hopefully hitting my... Let's take a look and see if I can do it without really wrecking the white count, which is what I'm trying to do by running Skyclave and getting Ephemerate online, like having a lot of white sources. So how can I get a breeding pool back in this mix? I replaced it with the Prairie Stream, so I can cut the Prairie Stream and just go back onto Breeding Pool. Well, Kale, I mean, I was saying it earlier. Breeding Pool is far and away the dual land that I get the least often. I get it in like the vast minority of games. The only time I ever get it is when I need like double green for Witness and double blue for Venser or Force of Negation, and I don't already have it. Like that's a pretty niche situation. But we just came across a situation where I needed a second blue source and a second green source, and, well, it didn't work out. So I think I'll take the Prairie Stream back out, bring the Breeding Pool back in. Now, it's not going to change for this league. But it was an experiment, and I think I just learned right away that it's probably not the way to go. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into another league. Another game. The fact that I lost to 8-rack doesn't bode well for the rest of this league. I mean, it's almost as close to a bye as we should get, and just got wrecked by the opponent. So, I mean, I don't even know if it was the fact that I didn't have a Breeding Pool that messed me up. Maybe it was. Yeah. I don't know. I can't remember the exact situation. Like, maybe I could have gotten just another blue source to cast my double blue. I also needed double green at that point. Whatever. Like, Breeding Pool should be in the deck. I'm pretty new to being back on Bant, so... The thing is that the deck is sort of moving towards needing double green, double blue, and now double white. So the mono requirement's getting a little bit trickier. I was mentioning earlier that I might want to try to replace Venser with Glen Elendra Archmage because it has Persist. And if you sack Glen Elendra with Neoform, you can get your 5-drop like Muldrifter, and you still get to keep your 4-drop, which is kind of nice synergy. So, I don't know. I haven't played with Venser much lately. It was feeling very poor in my 4-color build with black, and so I had it out of the deck for a while and just threw it back in Bant because it's always been kind of a staple of Bant. I think on the draw this is fine. If we get Thoughtseize and the Hierarch, bites the dust. Okay, so it looks like Storm, probably. I guess it could be. It's probably not Prowess because they usually don't run Serum Visions, they just run Opt. They went top, bottom. And often just being on the draw is enough to lose to Storm. All right. So I've got some interaction with this path. Excuse me, a lot of throat clearing today. So I kept the one lander on the draw. We've had our 2 looks at this point, and we've got Path. And so pathing the Goblin Electromancer doesn't even necessarily prevent them from winning the game next turn. They can play another cost reducer, play a land, and just start casting rituals. So I feel like I kind of need to play a snake here and try to hit a land. And since I didn't have a land already, I think that Ice Fang is pretty much always the best play in these situations because, well, first of all, it has flying. Second of all, it doesn't show the opponent what I draw. So, all right, well, getting punished. It's been a theme for me lately. Like if I keep 1 land or 2 lands, I've gone like 10 turns lately without drawing lands. Every single game I keep 2 lands. Particularly if I keep 1 land in Hierarch, it's just like nonstop punishment. All right, so if we see gifts, I'm just going to scoop. We don't have the Force. We didn't know what we were playing against. Obviously, things can get better post-board. All right, so I mean, if this is what they've got, maybe they're going to remand it, I guess, and then cast it again. But if we get to untap, we've always got a chance that we can draw into paths. Okay, there's the Remand. Opponent's on 3 cards, 6 mana. We know one of the cards is Grape Shot and Gifts. So that's where we scoop. Absolutely no reason to watch the opponent play. Out there combo, I've seen it hundreds of times. Just getting punished. Let's see. Ashiok, I think, is good in the matchup. It gets rid of their graveyard, prevents them from searching their library with Gifts. Veil is also good because it counters Gifts. Since it targets me, it also counters Remands, obviously. These are all not that great. Worship, obviously not that great. So Teferis are fine. They turn off Remands and also can bounce Aria of Flame. So let's think about how important Chord is. We can take out Stonehorn, I think. Deputy will stay in. Again, it can hit Aria. It can hit their cost-reducing creatures. And most important, it can get rid of all their goblins. Keeping all the paths. I think Venser is nice interaction. Thragtusk can come out. I don't think there are important enough creatures really to merit keeping Chord in. And the game can be really front-loaded into the early turns, in which case Chord is just uncastable. So I do want to keep like blue cards in to help power the Force. I'm going to keep in the Dorks because we really would love to go like turn 2 Teferi, turn 2 Ashiok, that kind of thing. They don't run a lot of removal, so getting an early Soulherder down can generate a good amount of value. Fiend Hunter, I mean, we've got the paths. I mean, this is probably another matchup where Skyap is just like strictly better because it's going to be able to deal with Aria. Speaking of Fiend Hunter, right? If it was Skyap, it could get rid of Aria as well as Goblin Electromancer and Baral. But I'm going to cut it for now since it only hits their creatures and we've already got the paths in the deck. What is the 61st best card? I like Neoform because it turns the snake into an Eternal Witness, which can buy back like a Force or something like that. Muldrifter might be a little bit too cute, but it is a way to just pull way ahead. I'm going to trim one Soulherder, I think. They bring in Abrades and other type of removal. Soulherder also just dies to like a single Grape Shot trigger, so should be fine. I guess we'll see what we draw. So there's no ramp in this hand, but well, I mean, Coiling Oracle can be ramp. This is a keep. We've got our 2 Planeswalkers, and I think Ashiok is probably the more important one to get down first. It deals with their graveyard. Although leading with Teferi makes Ashiok uncounterable, so that's nice. I guess I play this first and then go get like, well, whatever. So thanks for joining me this evening, guys. If any of you guys just got here, I am playing Bant instead of 4 colors, particularly to test out the new card Skyclave Apparition. And I've got like a really poor substitution with Fiend Hunter right now. It's done some nice things, Fiend Hunter, but they went bottom with the Scry, so that's clearly good for us. Path is nice interaction. I think for now we're just going to go basic Forest is just fine, I think. And we would really, really love to hit a land with Coiling Oracle here. Help pull ahead a little bit in the race. Hierarch, not exactly a land. So opponent should tap out here. That would be the best for us. Oh, wow. Okay, so Serum Visions. We should be able to get to resolve one of our Planeswalkers. And in this spot, I think Teferi is probably the way to go. They could have Mystical Dispute up as well. So now this means I should just go get just basic, and then I can go get a Tangle land next turn. So if they have Mystical Dispute, it's a little bit of a blowout. And since they might have the Dispute, and we'd really love to resolve Ashiok, I think we'd prefer to open with Teferi. Obviously, we could play extremely conservatively and like play a Hierarch, leave up Ephemerate and Path, in case they play a cost reducer and just start comboing off. But they just, their scries were, I believe, bottom, and what did they do at first? So they went bottom, and then they went bottom, which makes you think they don't have it here. So let's run out this Teferi and see if the opponent has a dispute or what's going on. Don't stop. Oh my god. I hit so stupid. I hit the wrong key and then I immediately undid it, but Magic kind of logged my keystroke and it's like ridiculous. All right. I don't think I'm going to get punished, but just not ticking up Teferi is absurd. Like, it was still my main phase. I already canceled all of my auto passes, all my auto yields, but it didn't let me undo it. So it's just like the twitch of a finger. And what do you got, opponent? Ritual, Monomorphos, casting spells. They're going to try to Grape Shot Teferi or something. They must really want the Teferi off the board, I guess. Okay, here's a Baral with 1 blue floating. Okay, all right. So, okay, let's tick the Teferi up. I am just going to path this Baral on their upkeep. I'm going to go and get the Canopy Vista. Oh wait, I don't have triple. I don't have. Oh, I can do this. Okay, so blue, green. All right, very nice. Let's clear out their graveyard. Let's see what they exiled. 1 gifts, decent. Yeah, as I said, I think just pathing on their upkeep is probably the way to go. They can't counter it since I have Teferi on the board. So now we just need like some value, and we should be able to start pulling comfortably ahead. We've already got the Ephemerate in hand, so Snakes, Eternal Witness, Soulherder. Opponent plays a land. They should not be able to resolve gifts, or not be able to actually search, right? So here's another Baral. 3 cards in hand. Ritual. 2 cards in hand. I guess if they have goblins, it's pretty good for them, right? Huh. Repealing. All right. Well, they have repealed this guy. Monomorphos. 2 mana, 2 cards in hand. Okay, an opponent scoops. All right. It seemed like it should be quite hard for them to win in that spot. And Force of Negation was not involved at all in that win, so pretty nice. Let's see. Okay. I mean, the setup seems fine. I've got plenty of interaction. Ashiok is excellent in the matchup. Things get more difficult when the opponent is on the play. I'm not forgetting anything, am I, guys? I think I should be okay. Maybe Winds of Abandon against the against the goblins, but I've got snakes plus neoform. I've also got deputy, like, so, I mean, snakes, neoform to get deputy. I can also just naturally draw the deputy. I don't know that Winds is really worth it. I don't know how many copies of the goblins they have. Veil is amazing. If you guys are unfamiliar with it in the matchup, Veil hits, most important of all, it hits Gifts Ungiven, because Gifts targets me as the opponent. So it just counters Gifts. So it's a 1-mana counter that draws a card to counter their biggest payoff spell. It also counters Remand, so pretty solid. Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. It's also really easy to forget that it does that, you know? So, no worries, Ferdy, for not realizing that. It's pretty tech. This is opponent starting with 7. And this is sketchy, but it's a keep, because if the opponent is like super all out, we've got a blue spell to pitch to force. If they're not super all out, we're gonna draw a bunch of cards, we can get Ashiok down. We're gonna keep this. Let's go, opponent. Force. Just force pitching Ashiok. No, cannot do that. The thing is, if they play a cost reducer on turn 2 and we just path it on, okay, well, sort of getting somewhere. Now I can force something without pitching Ashiok. Puts us in a better spot. So I think I'm going to play this with the intention of getting a basic forest, but if they play a cost reducer, which they kept 7 cards, and they went top with their scries, so I think we do want to path on their turn. That means they untap after our turn 2 with 4 mana, but Storm players almost always pass the turn back to you, like they want to Gifts on your end step. So I'll get to play my 3rd land, and we'll just have to hold up force at that point. So I'm going to play this land, pass the turn. I will path right now. Okay, they don't even have it. That's awesome. Maybe they just kept a hand with, like, Pyromancer's Ascension. So again, basic forest is the play here. They could remand my snake, which is kind of dirty. Muldrifter is interesting, but we haven't drawn any Ephemerates yet. Okay, if you got the remand, go ahead and cast it, opponent. Well, speaking of Ephemerate, that's pretty nice. But I will pitch this Muldrifter if we have to. They have gone top with all of their scries. Top, and... Okay, opponent, this is unacceptable. You go top with your scries and miss your 3rd land drop. So now, I'm pretty sure the play is just pass with Ephemerate, path, and force up. I actually have Prairie Stream here, which is pretty nice, right? Next turn, we can go Muldrifter. I guess they're holding up Remand for, like, Ashiok. So there's that 3rd land, a little bit late. Opponent's still passing. And you know what? I am going to go for this Ephemerate here. Just, like, see if I can get them to, like, rip something, like removal or Remand. But they're not doing anything, so pretty good for us. I mean, they must be really shook of Ashiok. So actually, that's pretty dope, because now I can just resolve Ashiok even through... Oh, that's amazing. What a draw. So now they need, like, Mystic Dispute plus Remand or something like that. Let's see. Do we want to play that untapped? We're going to go Ashiok, Veil, and maybe we can hold up Path, so whatever. I'll play that. All right, deck is cooperating here. Do want to thin. no matter what. So I'll get green-white here with Canopy Vista, and you can see the power of these Tangle lands in this deck. So yeah, I'm just gonna play Ashiok and hold up Veil. I mean, like, points to the opponent if they actually have this covered here. They know I have the Veil, and I'm gonna cast this right now. What do you got? You got, okay. Well, they think they still draw a card because it's gonna. Actually, let's check. I think they draw a card. It makes it so it can't be countered, but it will still resolve because the target is not illegal. So they're gonna draw a card off of this, I think. So they should go from 6 to 7. Yeah, and they did. We drew. Did we draw a card off of the Veil? We did, because they cast. Oh yeah, we drew an Ephemerate, which is pretty nice. So we can go ahead and get rid of their graveyard. We already played our land for the turn, so we're going to pass the turn. Holding up again, Ephemerate, Force, and opponent just looks like they are going to have to discard to hand size. Okay, might as well play that, I guess. Okay, right? Like, why not play these things if you have them in your hand? Aria of Flame. I feel like I can just counter that because I've got the like, there's no way to deal with it right now currently. So I'm gonna counter it, and then I'm just gonna draw tons of cards next turn with Muldrifter. And I'm gonna leave the Ephemerate in hand. So another Force and Eternal Witness. Teferi is amazing. I'm gonna keep this at 4 just so it doesn't die to Lightning Bolt. I think this all starts with Muldrifter, Ephemerate, right? You put Evoke on the stack first, so that you get to draw cards first, see what you're working with. Well, that's interesting. So now I could Neoform the Oracle to get back, well, to get an Eternal Witness to get a Force. So let's go ahead and Ephemerate the Muldrifter. We need to leave green mana up, so don't tap like that. You could also just draw more Forces, which would be awesome. Another Ashiok. Not complaining about that. So yeah, now we're going to go ahead and Neoform, actually after we attack. Just got to pay the cost. Got to click the creature that you want to sacrifice. We're going to get Eternal Witness. I could get Soulherder, would be bonkers here, but Eternal Witness is just so much more important here to get back. Force of Negation, we've got a rebound coming. We can start looping the Ephemerate. And I don't think, we couldn't be doing too much better here. I'm not going to be greedy and activate the Ashiok here. Let's just pass the turn. Opponent currently cannot search their deck. Trying to get rid of Eternal Witness. I think that seems fine, honestly. We're still like on like crazy value train here. That I will attempt to counter. That I will, just because I'm going to draw so many more cards. We can pitch the extra Ashiok. If this one ever goes to the graveyard, we can get him back. I do like Teferi quite a lot. What do you got, opponent? Okay, they just conceded. So, really nice games against Storm there. In game 2, we were able to basically, I think, ride Ashiok, if I remember correctly. And then this game, pretty similar, but we actually got to see... Against a fast combo deck, you don't expect to see, evoking and ephemerating Muldrifter. But in this match, we got it off. And actually, Neoform was pretty cool there, right? it's this kind of combo that I'm thinking about, like Neoform, any of our snakes. Always getting Eternal Witness is amazing, but if we've got Skyclave Apparition, it can just get rid of anything that needs getting rid of. Veil was incredible. Ferdy, I know that was like the very last thing we just discussed. So really, really solid game. So that's gonna do it, I think, for that. So we are currently 2-2. We're gonna play one more match this evening and hopefully finish 3-2. I'm just gonna take a quick break. I'll be right back. So yeah, for those of you guys who haven't tried or seen Neoform in Soulherder, it's pretty cool because, well, I just explained, if you sacrifice a snake, you can get any of your like power 3 drops. Like it's going to be Skyclave Apparition, Eternal Witness, Deputy, Soulherder. You know, a lot of the sort of strength in the deck is in that 3-drop slot. And being able to basically like get a free 2-drop by drawing a card off of these guys. But there's some really sick lines that you can take. Like if you have one snake out, you can Neoform for Eternal Witness and just get back the snake right away if you want to from the graveyard, or just get back Neoform, right? So then if you really need to get like a Stonehorn, it makes like a chain, right? You can go like sack a Coiling Oracle with Neoform, get Eternal Witness gets back Neoform, sack Eternal Witness with the rebought Neoform, and go get Stonehorn Dignitary. All of a sudden the opponent can't attack, right? If you've got 2 snakes, it's kind of amazing. You draw your 1 Neoform, you sack 1 snake, you Neoform into Eternal Witness, you buy back Neoform. Now the other snake is still sitting there. You can cast Neoform, sack the snake, get Soulherder, and that assembles like this core combo, like Eternal Witness plus Soulherder. And all it took was a couple of snakes and a Neoform. So pretty powerful in the deck. I really, really like it, and depending on how good Skyclave is, I might just replace Chord of Calling with Neoform. So let's go ahead to the last round. I started this league this evening. I'd already played the first 2 rounds. I was 1-1. This list is underpowered because I'm running Fiend Hunter instead of Skyclave Apparition. So Fiend Hunter is from like an older set. It's an uncommon. Skyclave is from the newest, most pushed set. It's a rare, and it deals with like any permanent. The most important, again, being like Planeswalkers. We have a really hard time dealing with Planeswalkers, and it exiles things forever. So you play it, you exile a Teferi, it's never going to come back. You exile a Jace, it's never going to come back. Oh man, this is one of those weird opening hands. I'm on the play. I think I have to keep this. It's such a good hand. Like if we draw a snake off the top, this is pretty close to a perfect hand. It's got the path to be able to slow down something like Prowess. If it's something like Jund, we do want to keep 7 so that they can't just, you know, annihilate our hand right away. If it's like turn 1 hand disruption, we just let it resolve. We would not pitch something to force here. And it looks like it may be that. So You know, some opening hands you have to take risks with. Like, if I mulligan this into 6, there's totally the possibility that I would just draw no lands, right? And then I have to mulligan to 5, and maybe my 5's not good, right? So it's a pretty functional 7. I can still draw a snake. I can still draw a land. I've got 8 snakes. I've got 19 more lands in the deck. That's 27. It's more than half of the cards in the deck that would be solid top decks between snakes and lands. Opponent thinking really hard here. We're not sure what this is. We did play against 8-Rack just a second ago, but if you see this, it's probably going to be either a Shadow or Jund deck. There's no companion, so it's not going to be like red-black prowess or anything. Opponent took the Force. Extremely interesting. I want to draw lands, so maybe I won't crack this. Let's keep that land count high. All right, we are there. So, I'm gonna play. I do want double green, so, but I also need blue, so I can't really do much. I could go. Yeah, I'm just gonna play these and go get like two dual lands on the opponent's end step. Obviously, one with blue and the other with white. So is this a black-white? So black-white is actually a pretty tricky deck. So they're thought-seizing me now, probably taking the Eternal Witness, I would think. I think it's the best card in the hand right now, Eternal Witness. But we have 2 more in the deck. We're going to play a 3-drop next turn, pretty much no matter what. And again, we still have tons of good draws, so... I guess, I mean, they're going to Inquisition me again or something? So maybe this is just 8-Rack. Okay, it's 8-Rack again. Why do you not take the Eternal Witness? That's ridiculous. So not just 8-Rack, which is a favorable matchup. How do I play 8-Rack twice in one league? That's unheard of. So there's our white, or our blue, I should say. And then I'm going to get... I should have gotten actually the Prairie Stream. That was a slight misplay. Because now if I draw Prairie Stream, I can't make it enter untapped. This is exactly what happened against 8-Rack the first time. I drew 2 Path to Exiles and just got wrecked. So I could take Force here, but then I'm pitching Soulherder, which is my only valuable card. So I think I'm just going to take Teferi. These 2 cards might as well just be dead. I mean, they're letting me not take full damage from Shrieking Affliction, which is sort of nice. Hey Odysseus, I'm currently 2-2. This is going to be the last round that I play this evening. I got paired against 8-Rack for the second time in one league. Opponent, this is I hate getting behind against 8-Rack. It's ridiculous. But now I have to sacrifice a land, sacrifice a creature, discard a card. All right, so we're discarding a path. You got me, opponent. And they discard what? They discard Nether Spirit. It's the only creature card in your graveyard. You may return it to the battlefield. Interesting. All right. Sacrificing my creature. Pretty dirty. And we'll sacrifice our forest and try to draw a land here, I guess. That's awkward. But if it was like a Chord of Calling, it would also be awkward, so... Maybe the opponent just... Oh my god. I've never seen this Nether Spirit before. So I do have a path. I can just path it if I feel like it. It's from Modern Horizons. Oh, Jesus. All right. So we're going to pitch the Neo form, clearly. And I guess we have to pitch... I'm mean, Path gives them a land, which I don't love, but it also just kills their stupid creature, which could just kill us by itself. Teferi can just bounce the spirit. So I'm going to pitch the Path. And we try to draw lands, I guess. Again? Land, please? Snakes, maybe? I mean, these are good cards, but Smallpox is always going to be difficult. Like, exactly the card Smallpox. So they are on 2 lands. They possibly just have a handful of 3-drops. Raven's Crime, okay. So Soulherder, the clear choice here. Both of these cards put other cards back in our hand. Now, the opponent has 2 cards in hand. They can just keep casting Raven's Crime, and I can just lose. So the hope is that their hand is jammed with 3-drops and that they don't have a bunch of lands. All right. Okay, all right. Let's go. So, I mean, I guess the choice is... I mean, Eternal Witness for sure, but the choice from the graveyard is just another Eternal Witness, I think, right? Just establish more and more board presence, keep 2 cards in hand for as long as possible. I could get Force, but it doesn't look like they're casting anything that important. Oh yeah, Kale. I'm on board. Let's get the Eternal Witness. And this is how we fight. This is how we fight this matchup. If the opponent just whiffs for a couple turns, like if they draw 3-drops and don't have another land, if we draw Ephemerates, Teferi gets to bounce this thing, like... Looks like a Shrieking Affliction not doing that much. Of course, as soon as they make me discard a single card, these Shrieking Afflictions are like double bolts to the face every single turn. Pretty dirty. Ugh. So they're pitching a land to make me start taking damage. So I think in this case, I'm definitely taking 6 here. I'm going to draw a card next turn. I'll be on 2 cards. If I pitch to Teferi, I play Eternal Witness, get back to Teferi. It just seems pretty good, right? And I'll also have drawn a card. So I sort of need to gain life or something. I guess drawing Deputy would be amazing. This is a situation where Skyclave would be awesome because I could just get rid of their Shrieking Afflictions. So, yeah, again, I think just like... I mean, I could slow them down by bouncing the Nether Spirit with Teferi, but it's still a 2-turn clock just with the Shrieking Afflictions. Not so sure how much I care right now about that, so... I guess pitching Teferi is the way to go. Do they have another land? They couldn't possibly have another land, right? If they make me discard this card, I think the game is effectively over, and I'm sort of forced to reassess the 8-rack matchup, since it's supposed to be very good, but I haven't been drawing snakes in this game. I did draw 2 Path to Exiles that do next to nothing in the matchup. All right. So, Deputy of Detention off the top one time. Not Deputy. Not Deputy. Kind of need to keep that in hand so I don't just die. So I play Eternal Witness. I get back to Teferi again. And then I have to hope that the opponent just has 3-drops and they don't draw any more lands. They don't draw any Inquisitions or anything like that. You know what? That was actually a little bit silly. That was dumb. I mean, it's not dumb, but I could play around Inquisition and Thoughtseize by just getting another land, and then they can't make me discard it. I think it's really the 2 Path to Exiles that are losing this game for me. It's basically like mulliganing to 5. So any discard here and I just lose the game. Oh, I'm so stupid, but at least I knew what I was doing. I think I just have to scoop now. Let's make the opponent take a few more seconds. They are a little bit ahead on clock. Come on. I know better than that. I mean, taking another land is like just feels bad, right? Anyway, so because then I'm just stuck with lands in hand. But at the same time, hoping that the opponent doesn't draw a land and doesn't draw Inquisition or Thoughtseize. I think it was more important there for me to take a land. So, if nothing else, I always hope that my streams are educational. Yeah, we drew another land, so we weren't really going anywhere there. So let's get rid of all these stupid Path to Exiles. We already know how to sideboard. Actually, Ashiok might be, as a singleton, might be fine. Just to get rid of Raven's Crimes. They also have that Nether Spirit. They're not doing a whole lot of searching their library, though, so it's not that great. Veil is amazing. We know that the Pithing Needles are amazing for their Planeswalkers. It also discards to Wrench Mind. So all of those come in. Ceremonious is good enough to bring in. We have worst cards. Celestial Purge kills all of their walkers, kills Shrieking Affliction. That's 9 cards in. Teferi's fine. Fiend Hunter, if it was Sky Clave Apparition, would stay in. But it's not, so it comes out. Stonehorn comes out. Muldrifter is nutty. We can get rid of Thragtusk. Court of Calling is really hard to cast with limited resources, and with them blowing up our lands, Court is just too hard to cast. And I guess, Neoform is pretty cool, because if we get a Snake down, we can, again, Neoform for whatever we need. So really need to win this next game. So fingers crossed for 2 lands, 2 or 3 lands with like 2 or 3 snakes. And Venture was really good in the game that I won against 8-Rack earlier. I think Hierarch is okay, particularly on the play when they can't get us with Smallpox so well. I could probably trim one of these guys, I think. And that's fine, because they can be a liability if Smallpox gets us really early in the game. I don't know if it's the right cut. Like, we kind of want to hit, like, Dork 3-drop. But just playing 2 drops on curb is... deck. Not like this. So now I have to keep this. Opponent's mulliganing. We're going to keep turn 1 Canopy Vista, turn 2 whatever, turn 3 green something else. Could also go, yeah, I'm going to keep it like that. Pitch this, I guess. Done. So opponent mulliganed to 6, and they kept there as well. So, I mean, turn 1, anything, getting rid of the Eternal Witness is nasty. Then we're just top decking from turn 2 on. Mulliganing against 8-Rack never feels good, particularly, oh my god, particularly when we have no snakes in hand. We just have to draw really hot here. I mean, this is how the matchup gets lost, right? We either draw a bunch of Path to Exiles. That was awesome. That's a great draw. So that's a start. I'm going to play this, just in case they play like a Shrieking Affliction. I would just get rid of it right now. Actually, anything is nutty here. Like Wrench Mind, awesome. Let's do it. I guess Smallpox. Okay, Raven's Crime target player. It's enough. It's enough for me. I am going to rip this right now. Means that they can't cast like another Inquisition or Raven's Crime this turn. They can try. It'll get countered again. That'd be nice. I drew a Force, which will be nice for next turn, I guess. I want them to cast Raven's Crime again. That would be pretty cool. Oh, but they can't target me right now, so they can't cast it. So it won't even let them cast it, I don't think. Like, maybe they're trying to cast it, but it's not working. Okay, come on, deck. No lands. Should have been more specific. That's not the best. So once again, this would probably optimally be Breeding Pool here. So I'm getting punished a little bit in this league for not having the Breeding Pool, but I brought it back in. It's in the list. It'll be there next league. Raven's Crime. Well, now they've got 2, so Force doesn't do a lot. Pretty easy choice to get rid of Ephemerate since I have no creatures in hand. Maybe now anything like a Wrench Mind would be awesome so that I can just like get them with Force. A little bit rough. We're going to say okay, and we're going to pitch one of these Celestial Purges. And if they do it again, okay, Inquisition here. I mean, I either let them take the card that they want to take, or I force it and hope that they don't want to take the Purge, or that they do want to take the Purge. You know what? I'm going to let them sort of take what they want here. Because... Blue, actually getting blue is quite important here, because if I draw Ashiok, I can get rid of their whole graveyard, turn Raven's Crimes off. So maybe I just go get like another island and just force it. I think that's probably the way to go. You know, I'd rather I make the choice. Obviously, Eternal Witness, not going to be castable if I draw it right now, which really, really hurts. But whenever you mess with your mana base, it's very, very important to make observations and adjust, and it's what I'm doing here. Oh my god. Come on, deck. At least that's something easy to pitch to Raven's Crime. Ugh. Alright. So it looks like I'm going to be top decking again. But it also looks like they don't have... I mean, it's possible that they can just be playing this... And they have like a Liliana... Oh, they took the Ephemerate. What? But they're just going to make me discard the Celestial Purge anyway. So, best... Oh, they're not. Huh. Alright. Whatever. Snakes. Hierarch. Kind of need to cast that. I mean, like, Liliana right here, make me sack this is kind of nasty, but then I can just purge. So I don't know. Oh my god. Okay, fine. So stupid. So now I've got 8 snakes in the deck, which let me just climb right back into this. Okay, well, that's actually pretty good because they go for smallpox or whatever, and I get to veil it. Though, not smallpox. Raven's Crime is what I mean to say, or Inquisition, or Thoughtseize, or whatever. Actually, really good draw. So counter it, draw a card, lets me get 1 step ahead of the opponent. Okay, you know, can't complain. All right, all right. Start off with this. Now an Ephemerate would be pretty nice, I think. Soulherder is also nice. Maybe I'm supposed to keep the land in hand, but I need the land to cast Soulherder. Hopefully the opponent draws a 3-drop and can't do anything. Okay, well, the rack is just fine. The rack is... Now I get to pull ahead. Hopefully this game is in the bag at this point. Let's go. I will just keep that in hand. I want to try to build up some cards in hand. I'm going to attack. We're going to draw something amazing off of the bounce. Actually, it doesn't really matter how amazing it is. Well, that's slightly awkward. I'd prefer the cards to go in hand. Kind of makes me wish that well, yeah, whatever. I mean, Inquisition is kind of cool here because they just can't take it out of my hand. Fair enough, opponent, fair enough. So now I'm going to take 3 off of the rack, but we're in an excellent position relative to where we were just a moment ago. I will crack this. We don't want to draw more lands, and I can finally get that green mana online. Green... We already got... I think, like, Forest is fine here. Then Fetches can get Prairie Stream untapped. So I'm taking the full 3 here. Snakes are awesome. Lands. I'm going to keep it in hand again. Because we are drawing another card at the end of the turn. I'd prefer to pitch the land if I draw something good here, like an Eternal Witness. If the opponent goes... Oh, Neoform is interesting. Neoform unlocks Eternal Witness. It's just passing the turn, so that must mean they drew like a 3-drop or something. Which is fantastic for us. Like, super fantastic. Okay. So let's get in our damage. I'm going to keep Noble Hierarch in hand. Going to play around this rack. If I had Skyclave in the deck, I could Neoform Coiling Oracle and just Skyclave the rack. I'm missing my... Oh my god. So now I have to play Hierarch. I have to Neoform the Hierarch. I should have seen that as a possibility, but I felt like maybe this deck doesn't play that just because they can't activate Revolt that regularly since they don't play... Whatever. All right, I'm losing my Oracle, but it's not the end of the world. Not the end of the world. So here I can just... I might as well just get the Coiling Oracle, keep putting those... Actually, no, I prefer them to go to hand no matter what, so I'll get this guy. Ashiok is a good one, and I'll keep that and the land in hand. We'll say yes, and things still sort of okay here. The fact that the opponent can't trigger Revolt is so great for us. We get to keep Soulherder on the battlefield. Yeah, that's fine. Totally fine. And we're just pulling ahead at this point. So all the Raven's Crimes get pieced out now. And I'm just gonna keep these snakes in hand. Okay, 2-turn clock from here. Just next turn, really. Like a Force would just slam the door shut, but opponent concedes. So I wonder if I should play like 2 Ashioks. You always want to question the value of cards when, like, one of the important things that they do is not relevant. So, like, the opponent is not searching their library. So is it useful to get rid of their graveyard? And I think it is. I think it's pretty relevant. So, but I'm not sure. Like, let's see if we can find like a 60th worst card a worse card than Ashiok, right? I like Teferi because it replaces itself, and if we get like kind of in a stalled situation, every 3 turns it can draw an extra card. Neoform has been sick in this league. I really like Neoform, and I've actually been sideboarding out Court of Calling in like some awkward matchups. So I'm starting to think with this build, particularly with Skyclave Apparition, that Neoform is just going to be the way to go. Like, excellent here against 8-Rack, excellent against Storm. Just Neoform a snake into Eternal Witness is just busted. So what is worse? And also Soulherder is just kind of broken here, so we want to leave both of those in. It's possible that Ceremonious is like a little bit weird, a little bit too narrow. I feel like Ashiok is just going to be better, getting rid of all of those Raven's Crimes. And let's go snakes. I did mulligan that game. I think I did mulligan that game. Either way, let's get like 3 lands, 4 snakes. That's all I want for Christmas. Four lands, no snakes. No dice. Opponent is mulliganing to 6. I'm gonna mulligan from 7 to 6 as well. Okie dokie. This is more what I'm talking about. Venser's so expensive that pitching him like to force to counter like a 2-for-1 anyway is excellent. So I'm just going to keep this and put the planes on the bottom. And it should be opponent's keeping their 6. We're going to keep. We're going to bottom the planes. We're going to say done. And, well, you know, fingers crossed. The opponent mulligan, so hopefully it's not like the best hand in the world. Obviously, being on the play here is like way better, so we'd at least get 1 snake off. But if they go like Inquisition, they just take both of our snakes, and that really hamstrings us. But this is excellent. It's an excellent opening hand. The one sort of if Venser was another snake, I would say it's just like quite nice. Actually, if both of these were snakes, it would be like amazing. If they cast Raven's Crime, I might just force it, but it's not Raven's Crime, so I'm going to let it resolve, I think. And let them take what they want to take. We've got a lot of sweet top decks, of course, all the snakes. There's really not much that's bad here except like expensive cards, but we boarded out most of the stuff. I don't think I have Thragtusk in the deck. Wait, Thragtusk is in the... Oh, there it is. Okay, I was gonna say, like, I think Venser is like the most expensive thing in the deck right now. So, I mean, 3 drops, obviously not the best here since, but I took a Fiend Hunter out because it's not Skyclave Apparition. Opponent in the tank here. They could take Force, and then, like, the fact that they're thinking about this makes me think that they have something like Wrench Mind. Looks good. So land here, if they have like Smallpox, would be nice. Ephemerate could be okay. Smallpox is so dirty though. I feel like I'll play this out because I'd rather sack like the basic forest than the Hallowed Fountain. I don't even know, guys. It's like, it's just such a weird spot. They took the Force. Could also just sack the Vista since I don't want to thin the deck. And filling up my graveyard doesn't really matter since I'm not running Uro anymore. Oh, I forgot to talk about that. I just feel like every single deck in Modern is super prepared to fight the graveyard, and Uro has just been like not very good for me. They don't have double black. That's amazing. Let's go deck. Okay, so I think Venser's the pitch here. Like, we've just got to stay. Oh my god, this is awesome. So I don't even have to crack this yet. I would love to draw a land here. Oh yes, it's so good. So I'm gonna play this. I do think, double green or double blue. I have the Ashioks and the Forces, so once again I think double blue is sort of going to be more important here. So I will play this and I'll get blue. If I play this, I have to get green, and then I'm left with double green. So I will play this. And now I can play around Smallpox a little bit. No, I can't. Yeah, I can float the mana and then cast the creature after the Smallpox. So all we want is for the opponent to just continue whiffing on black lands, and we should just be, like, good to go. So it's possible just bringing in all 3 Ashioks is correct against Raven's Crime. No black land. Come on. One time. Give me a turn, opponent. Oh, they've got nothing. Oh my god. Just a handful of double black spells? Amazing. I mean, Fatal Push is okay here. They might just wait till my turn, in which case they get blown out by Ephemerate. All right, so the opponent missed a beat, and we should be able to pull ahead here. They didn't even attack with Mutavault. It's kind of weird. I guess they want to, oh, that Dismember. Well, that helps us along. Oh my god. Land. Give me a land. Well, Neoform's pretty good. It does get to combo into, wow, if we get to this Muldrifter with Ephemerate, then, you know, door's shut, basically. And they can't take it with Inquisition, which is amazing. They can take the Ephemerate, but I'm going to cast the Ephemerate. Awesome, awesome. So I cast this now. I Ephemerate, and all they can take is the Neoform. Land, that's 6. So I get to, well, actually, now the Ephemerate is going away, but I'm getting closer to Muldrifter at least. Okay, opponent's just scooping. All right, so that's how the 8-rack matchup should go. When they have the crazy nuts and they're on the play, and we draw like 3 Path to Exiles, we can lose the matchup for sure. But often it should just be like straight up just crushing them. So let's just talk for a minute or two about the build right here. Like, what's in flux? What feels great? I'm extremely excited to test Skyclave Apparition. So I can open it up again for you guys. So I was saying at the beginning of the stream, this card deals with some of the things that we have like the most difficulty dealing with, and it's so efficient and so flexible. It can exile anything basically that's not a land or a token that's 4 mana or less, and that's not ours. It has to be the opponent's. So it hits in that matchup, for instance. It obviously hits every permanent that they play. It hits all the rack, Shrieking Affliction, the rack. It hits any Lilianas that they play. It hits Davriel. Hits any permanent. Turns it into, if they can get rid of this, it gives them like a 1/1 or a 3/3 depending on the CMC. Against Storm, it gets rid of Aria of Flame. It gets rid of their creatures. So this being able to Neoform a snake into this card is just like really, really beautiful. So along those lines, following that train of thought, I do think like I might want to up the number of 2-drops a little bit. I do think I might want to cut Chord of Calling and just go like all in on Neoform. So yeah, let's add that second Neoform because it was so good this evening on stream. This is going to be Skyclave, which again, very excited about. Thragtusk is in the deck in the sort of 5-drop slot, particularly because of like the prowess matchups. He gains so much life, and even if like we can't blink him, he trades with the prowess creature and leaves a 3/3 behind, and that's just like a lot of value packed into one card. Muldrifter is one of the cards I've always loved in Bant. You guys saw it in that game. Like, if you can cast this with Ephemerate, it kind of just wins the game, right? Like, doesn't matter what you're trying to draw. If you're trying to draw a force, a path, a snake, a land, you're gonna draw 4 cards and hit it off of Muldrifter. So, nah, you don't want to draw multiple Muldrifters. We have ways to access it, you know, like you can Neoform an Eternal Witness to get to Muldrifter if you really feel like it. 2 Muldrifters is going to be super clunky, I think. Like, and I've learned from experience playing Muldrifter that you don't want the only play in your hand to be just like evoking Muldrifter. It's just very it's kind of the floor on the card, I guess you could say, and the floor is like infinitely down lower than the ceiling on this card. As soon as we get to the point where we can try to blink it with Ephemerate, you get the 2/2 flying body. You draw 6 cards with Ephemerate effectively, and then any Ephemerates you draw in the future, just like draw 2 more cards, actually 4 more cards. So you really want to Ephemerate it. So playing 2 of them makes it much more likely that you're going to get them in your opening hand. And then again, that makes it sort of much more likely that you're going to feel cornered into casting it for its evoke cost without value. And so I don't love that. For me, the flex slots in this build are the second Teferi. I could definitely cut one of the Teferis. It's a great card, but I don't need 2 in the main deck. And actually, I kind of miss Night of Autumn. Like, I really love that card. But the thing is, all right, before I go ahead and actually bring in the Night of Autumn, it's important to note a few things. First of all, we want sort of a critical density of creatures, since we are running 4 Ephemerates, which really want things on the board that can benefit from Ephemerate. And 4 of our creatures don't care about Ephemerate. Like, Noble Hierarch doesn't want to get targeted by Ephemerate. And actually, the 2 Soulherders don't really want to be targeted by Ephemerate either, right? So those are kind of like last-ditch situations where you really need to save them. Sure, you can cast and save them with Ephemerate, but that leaves us, even with Night in the deck, with like 18 creatures that really sort of work well with Ephemerate. So I think trimming a Teferi to bring Night back in is good. But what I was saying is Night of Autumn is sort of outclassed by Skyclave Apparition, because, you know, Knight has been the card that we go to when we need to deal with artifacts. Deputy is the card that we went to when we need to deal with everything else. But now Skyclave sort of does what Knight does, but like much better. I don't know that means we don't want Knight in the deck, though, right? It's also possible we just want 2 Skyclaves, right? But I'm not going to test with two Fiend Hunters, because Fiend Hunter is just not very good. So I'll leave Fiend Hunter at 1. I'll play Knight as 1. And Venser is also a question mark for me. He can be pretty beautiful in certain spots, but in many games he's just kind of super clunky. I think in Bant he might be sort of a necessary evil. Unfortunately, actually, without Chord of Calling, Venser's stock sort of goes down a little bit, so I could totally see cutting Venser for like another 3-drop, actually another Neoform, more 2-drops. I need to make space in this list for more 2-drops, and maybe even a 3rd Neoform. The card just felt so busted. Like, but maybe 2 is correct. The thing is, like, Neoform is terrible in a top decking situation when you have nothing on the board, like empty board. But in those situations, you're probably losing. Like, we typically want to have some kind of board when our board is empty. We're typically pretty far behind. I don't know. I'll have to feel it out. I'll stick with 2 Neoforms for the time being, but I think I would like to find room for at least 1 more 2-drop, because the combo with Neoform is real. So maybe I could cut Venser and cut Knight and just run 2 more 2-drops. I think that might actually be better. Let's do that. So we do want our 2-drops to draw cards, and I think Wall of Omens, particularly since we're going hard on the white mana with Fiend Hunter or Skyclave anyway, Wall becomes sort of a more legitimate option. Yeah, I like this. I like the combo with Neoform. I took out what I consider to be some of the fat, like Venser and Night of Autumn, again being outclassed by Skyclave. So you guys can go ahead and screenshot this if you want to reference it for your own games. I think that's the 2nd league in a row now that I've gone 3-2 with the underpowered version. In one of my leagues, I actually modified my 4-color version, but I forgot to take out my Overgrown Tomb, and I forgot to change the Birds of Paradise for Noble Hierarch, so it was like a very underpowered version, and I still did okay with it. So if you guys want to just bear with me for 1 more second, I am going to go ahead and find out who is streaming on the Card Hoarder team right now. And I'll send you guys their way. So it looks like Onzi D, is that? I don't even know who that is, but I'm going to send you guys to Onzi D MTG. He's got 220 people watching, so a pretty popular stream. Onzi D MTG. So please go and say hello to Onzi D for me, and tell everybody to subscribe to Merfolk Joe. Onzi D MTG. So before I send you guys over there, I just want to say thank you again. If you're new to the channel, please give me a follow. I really appreciate it. I'll be streaming Merfolk on Wednesday, and I'll be continuing to test Skyclave Apparition with Fiend Hunter, looking out for spots where Skyclave would be pretty busted. And yeah, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream this evening. Once again, go check out this other guy's stream and say hello for me. I'll catch you guys soon. Thanks again, and bye.